All right. Go with it.
There it is.
And there we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Say it. Got to say it, Josh. You always say
we
it.
are live.
There you go. Okay.
Yet
now
again.
We're live. Now we're not even live until you say that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of the thing that has to be said now. Yes, we were just
it has to be said, but hey, go ahead.
Yeah, my dad. We're late because my dad was super distracted with all the.
Oh, nice try.
Well, it's not entirely untrue in terms of ontological statements. Sometimes we're late because of you.
Hey, we had an unexpected coffee with Ken meeting this week, didn't we?
You did.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did because of the social media posts that were scheduled out. Yeah, that's right. So coffee with Ken in that format no longer happens. We're
working on it.
We are working on it. Yes. Life has been.
Somebody's been traveling a lot. So,
yeah, that's right.
I will be in the near
still
future.
Will be. Yep. I've got.
Oh, we need to share this. Okay.
Yes. Share. Oh, not there. Let's change over to here. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Dream Show, and where we interpret your dreams and answer your questions about the things that go bump in the night. If they go bump, sometimes they don't go bump, but they might go squeak, or they might go scratch. So, but this is where we answer those questions and try and help you come to grips with.
You saying they might go scratch? Really?
I was thinking like it scratches a wood floor or something, So that's what I was thinking. Let's see.
You guys can comment on that interesting commentary by Josh if you like. You're welcome to.
You could comment on that. That's true. Yes. Yeah, I have been on the road for a while, and but I'm back for a few days, and then the whole family we're going to Singapore, and that's going to be awesome. Working with some different churches, stuff like that. So it'll be great. Good morning, Karen. Great to see you. It's just over the noon time for me, so I can officially say afternoon. And so it's wonderful to be back on the Dream Show. And I flew back into the country late Tuesday night, and have been I'm just getting reacquainted with my family. So. Who are all sick with various colds and pink eyes and all this kind of weird stuff. So it's like you come into an infested house. So good to see Jim. Good to see Annette. Wonderful to see everybody jumping on. If you're just jumping on, say a hello and comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. That would be
Jim.
wonderful.
It's still morning here too. In Florida.
Yeah, everybody else it's still morning for, unless you're in Atlantic Canada. So our plan for the show today is to cross the noon threshold with the Eastern people. So
yeah, I didn't know we had that as a goal.
Our goal is to go for about an hour, right? So
that's true.
That means it's just another way of saying that we're going to go for an hour. So yeah, it's great to be back on here. So yes. So what's been happening down in your neck of the woods, Dad?
No hurricanes. That's always good. You guys almost got the
tail end. Kind of the tail end. Yeah. Not you guys. I'm not part of that.
About you.
I was gone. Yeah. Erin said, I don't know, it was about 4 months ago probably. She said, okay, you've scheduled this trip, and that means that there's going to be a hurricane when you're gone. And she says it's inevitable. You have such an uncanny way. The two things that I'm the most prophetic at are the two things I never plan for. That it's the one of them is I can plan trips to a T for the most possible chaos to happen at home. I'm really good at that. Okay. The second thing is I'm really good at calling Erin right when the kids are freaking out. So
that would always be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get the best side of Erin at that point.
Yeah. If I could just harness that revelation I'd probably be the greatest prophetic voice that ever lived. But I can't. So I end up not even coming close. So, yeah. So I'm really good. Yeah, it's just a dad thing, Sarah. Yeah. Just the excellent at calling it the worst possible moment. Title: Who is this guy? I think Renee's going to post a dream, but it's kind of fun just to think that she's responding to what we're saying. Yeah. Maybe Jacob is just as prophetic as I am. So inadvertently, and he just doesn't know it yet. Yeah.
Always possible.
Looks like Annette, that we can't deal with royalty dreams today.
No, we can't. Really?
Yeah, Prince. She's married to Prince William.
Yeah, that's true. That is a problem.
Yeah, you're not European enough, Annette, to have that dream. So
and that's American, right? She's in Pennsylvania.
She is. I
right?
know.
Yeah.
I know. Yep, that's
Did
right.
I get that right, Annette? Is it Pennsylvania?
Yeah. Where? Yeah. Gets angry, snarky, Sarah. I will be praying for your husband, Sarah. Yes. Yeah. There we go. Renee. Not title, who is this guy? She's not talking about either one of us. She was talking about her dream. Yeah. Oh, Justin. Great to see you on there, Justin. Justin, post actually in the comments, post a link to your YouTube channel. Justin posts these great thoughts periodically about following God, intimacy with the Father, the spiritual life, that kind of stuff. So I would firmly endorse checking out Justin's YouTube channel.
55% British.
Yeah.
Not
that's
54%.
Right. That's right.
You know, she's up there. 55%.
There you go. Right.
I never did the take the swab thing and do your DNA and search, but I'm pretty certain that it would come out about 80-90% German on my side.
Mine would come out 80-90% Californian. So
is that a new thing? I didn't realize.
I think so. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's
right. Hey, well, we should probably do a dream.
Yeah, well, let's do this.
This is the dream show.
Let's do this.
What would you like to do, Josh?
Yeah, well, you didn't have anything to say. We didn't really talk about
what's going on down here. Oh, it's sunshine, beautiful. Getting ready to go to Arkansas for a few days and then back home.
There you go.
What is British?
What is what's British? A hodgepodge of other stuff.
You got the Normans. You got who else? You got all. You got everybody in there.
Yeah. That's right.
Justin there. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Check out Justin's YouTube channel for those of you that can see it there. Maybe I'll just we'll just do this there. So type that in. You could put an @ in the.
Oh, look at they sneaking this in.
Oh, scene 2. Okay. There we go. So everybody, right? This is the dream show. Those of you that are just tuning in, or those of you that need a refresher, because we only go live once a month now. I'm not sneaking. Well, what we do here is post your questions in the comment section wherever you're tuning in from. YouTube, Facebook. We're live on both different pages. Post your questions, post your dreams in the comments. And what we're looking for are shorter dreams. The couple of the parameters are shorter dreams and dreams that you can type out in maybe 3 to 4 sentences. Every now and then we'll make an exception because we love people like Renee. Dreams that you have dreamed, not dreams that someone who's not here. We typically don't do that. Although these are all kind of principles. They're not hard and fast rules because we've probably broken every one of them.
We have broken them. We have worked around the principles at times.
Yeah, that's right. And then we will pull the dream apart. Our goal in the dream show is not to interpret as many dreams as possible. Oh yeah, Renee, short scenes.
just keep posting a scene.
Yeah, scene after scene after
By the
scene.
time you
Yeah,
got
that's
10
right.
scenes in there, it's
That's right.
it's short scenes. That's all, just short scenes.
Our goal is not to interpret as many dreams as possible, but to help you see our process so that you can learn how to break your dreams apart and interpret your dreams. And we'll run periodic trainings. Actually, right now, we're just finalizing some details for a mentorship program that we're going to run later in the fall, and that'll be coming out pretty soon here. The details for that. So anyway, in regards to dream interpretation and actually some leadership development stuff. So keep your eyes tuned to that. Anyway, so post your dreams and your questions, and we will do what we can to get to it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Jim popped up a dream here. He says, I had a dream where I was in a building being attacked by a dragon. And if I would read a paper, so we need to know, Jim, what was the paper?
Yeah, like
the dragon
a
would go blind and the attack would end.
Yeah, is the paper like a newspaper? Is it paper from a book? Is it like a research
you have
paper?
some special words on a paper.
Yeah. What was tell us what the paper was, because
we want to know about
that's kind of the whole thing, right?
Exactly.
Is
And then the second question would be the building. Was it recognizable, or was it just like?
That's good. Yeah.
Was
there anything written on the piece of paper that you can remember, Jim? Was there a title, a color? Was it college lined? Was it blank? Was it drawn on? Was it written on? Give us some information about the paper.
Come on, Jim, spell it.
Yeah. Was it Staples paper? Was it Walmart paper? Was it 20 pound? Was it
recycled?
That's right. That's right. It was a blank white
piece of paper.
Didn't recognize the building, so there was nothing on the paper.
But you read it. Oh, that's interesting. You read.
Did you? Yeah. So were you? If it was a blank white piece of paper, what were you were you going? How do I like? What was your response to knowing that I need to read the paper? Is it like, was there any anxiety that went like, I can't read this paper because there's nothing on it? Like how did you feel about needing to read the paper? Was there confusion, or because if there's nothing on the paper, what are you supposed to read? That's kind of nothing. I just knew I had to read the paper, and but there was nothing on the paper, and you knew you had to read it. So yeah, no feeling or thought about that or response to that, just in knowing if I read this paper, the dragon would go blind and the attack would end. Interesting. Right.
Okay. So what would a dragon be typically in a dream that's attacking you?
Yeah. Well,
so we start with,
was a mosquito. The dragon would be just a knowing, no feeling. Well, it would just be, a dragon would be the attack of the enemy. It would be that kind of chaos that can ensue, right? A dragon in scripture. So dragons are in scripture, where it talks about serpents, winged beasts, twisted creatures. Always talk about some kind of. Thinking about scripture too, right? In Revelation, I guess Revelation 13, where the enemy is characterized as a dragon that causes heaven to fall, right?
Because a dragon is about creating chaos, and creation is about chaos being put into order.
Yeah, that's right.
So the application of a dragon is to deconstruct everything that makes sense around you,
right?
And destroy it.
And so in relation to reading a paper, what would you say?
Insight, knowledge. If you're reading from a paper, then there's things that are, and the interesting thing in this one, of course, is there's nothing on the page for the paper.
Yeah.
Yet if you're reading a paper, then there is something that you're conveying, something that is actually ordered and structured that you're conveying that puts that chaos at bay.
Yeah, that's really good, Dad, because the dragon brings chaos and confusion, and the paper brings order
Ooh.
and insight.
Ooh.
I like what Karen says there. Does Jim have an understanding of warfare where he knows intuitively? It's not so much what you can read as it is you just know that you know how to respond.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And when chaos ensues, when warfare happens, when everything seems to be falling apart, Jim knows how to respond. And he's got in hand how to respond. And the response isn't an ordered structure of response. The response is, I look and I know. That's really good, Karen.
Yes,
I like that.
I know how to respond. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Good job.
Yeah, good job, Karen. So we should bring Karen onto the Dream Show. I think we've said that before.
Yeah. So, so if we just sum up Jim's dream, what would you say?
When seasons of warfare happen, Jim intuitively knows how to respond and disarm the whole attack. Like, and it's not even. It's interesting. It's not like Jim knows how to respond to the attack. Because he's not, by reading the paper, right? It's in a way, it's a deflection. He's not that, because some people think with spiritual warfare that the response is the enemy comes, so I punch back at the enemy. Right?
Yeah.
In this dream, it's saying I don't punch back at the enemy. Actually, I intuitively know how to redirect the energy and the effort of the moment. Right? And so he doesn't actually respond by responding. He responds doing it in an entirely different way.
Yeah.
Yep. Very good. That's a great dream, Jim.
All right, give me a second here.
Yeah, we're giving you seconds.
A dream off the.
Yeah, and then Karen, another one. She says building equals maybe where he enters into areas. Yeah, you know how to respond to the places that you find yourself in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not so much that I have to deal with a demonic presence there. There's a Jim knows this is who I am and how to respond in there, right? Yeah.
That's good.
Really good.
Right. Here's an interesting quick one. Read it through in here. So she dreamed she had grease on her right arm, not on her elbow, just from the wrist to the elbow. Axle grease. That's it. On her right arm.
Yeah, and then she said, I thought the grease was okay. She wasn't concerned about it. Yeah. Yeah. Rita, yes. So I love that it's axle grease. Right. And I'm assuming that means AXEL as in the.
Right. As in it keeps your vehicle continuing to go down the road where it's the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, exactly.
Friction. Takes the friction out of the process.
Yes. Yes. So why would you have axle grease on your elbow? How do you get axle grease on? You would be working on an axle.
On an axle.
Yeah.
Fixing something that is
and
has friction probably happening that you need to take the friction away.
And the axle helps determine speed and direction. Right. Ease of travel.
Speed and ease and travel. Yeah. Direction is the steering wheel, but
but it all hinges on the axle. Right. That's what I mean, is that if the axle if there's friction in the axle, you're gonna have a hard time turning the wheels too.
So you realize we're just discussing why would you have axle grease on?
Exactly. Yes.
Why would you have axle grease on?
What is an axle? Right. Or what does an axle represent? The speed and the direction that you can go, whether or not you can go in a certain speed and direction. Right. And to have axle grease, to have the grease is what makes everything function in a way that's fluid.
Yep.
You could say, right? Like you said, without friction, so that it'll actually run. And then why would you have the grease on your elbow? Because you were working
fixing,
on,
right.
ostensibly you were fixing or working on the axle.
Right.
And not on just her elbow, all the way down, wrist.
So not on her elbow.
Yeah, wrist down to the elbow. She had
Right.
it all over her right arm. Yeah.
So and your right arm represents?
But yeah, that would be strength and authority.
Right.
Right.
So
power, capability, basically. Power and capability. Yeah. So Rita's been and the question is, I guess with that is we don't really know, the dream doesn't tell us, is it Rita's axle that she's been?
Yeah, we don't know.
It doesn't tell us. It just says you've been involved with helping to make preparations for things to go smoothly and to be able to find the direction that those things are supposed to go. And yeah, and it shows. People recognize it because everybody would see the grease, right? So because of the grease is there, people recognize that you are capable of helping redirect and reorient in a way that enables things to move forward the way that they're supposed to, without friction. You have the power and authority in your life and the strength to do that. So to sum up, Rita, you have the power and authority, the strength to help people and yourself find the direction they're to go and the speed they're to travel at without causing too much friction. There you go.
Yeah. So let's do another dream that has to do with warfare.
All right.
And then we'll jump back. I got a couple of others I'm going to jump back to. So Justin says, recently I had a dream. I went undercover back to Navy boot camp to find a terrorist that was taking out recruits. The only thing was that the boot camp was in the Middle East. I located the terrorist and took a sniper shot, but missed because he saw me right as I shot. The rest of the dream was running and hiding.
Right.
I missed the shot, so I'm running and hiding now.
That's a great dream. Yeah.
Thanks, Reed. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, boot camp. Like, now this isn't about the, Justin is he serves in the military. So, that I know that about him personally. So he went undercover to Navy boot camp. But I think the Navy boot camp is still, it's a metaphor because he's long past Navy boot camp, right? Yeah. So Navy boot camp would be where
young recruits,
recruits are taught the basic principles of what it means to exist within the Army or the Navy, right? Within the military is what the word.
Yeah, how to survive, right?
Yeah. So as a metaphor, Navy boot camp would be discipleship. Mm-hmm. That's discipling new people who have a rudimentary understanding how to live and be and act within the context of the military, right? So
and he has a defensive role in here.
Well, he can see people have been, a terrorist would be the enemy, right? The enemy's been getting in the midst of that process and mucking the whole thing up. Right. And so he can see it. So Justin's been able to accurately diagnose the problem. Yeah. That in the context of discipleship, the enemy has been mucking up the joint.
Right.
And causing people to go this way or that way. And I love that the boot camp is in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Right. And so that right away, my first thought is the Bible verse, right? As far as the East is from the West, so far I've removed your sins from you, right? That kind of describes the discipleship process. You want to get people from one place to another where their life is not contingent upon a pattern of sinful behavior, right? And so when the boot camp is in the Middle East, it's like the boot camp it's like right in the middle of that process is where the terrorist comes in and tries to screw things up. Not at the beginning of the process, not at the end of the process, but right in the middle of that process is where it's like, man, it's like people start out with gusto. Some of them finish really well, but in the middle of that process is where the enemy gets in and tries to mess everything up. And
it's almost like a parable about that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
I vaguely remember Jesus talking about this.
You go on, Dad. What are your thoughts?
Well, you sow some seed, and some of it gets stolen, some of it gets tears, some of it gets messed up, some of it grows. So those who can see what's going on can help people develop and move in a good or protect the process. It's in
Right.
this game, it's the protecting of the process, so that protecting of the recruits.
Right.
So I like in this dream how Justin has a heart to protect and defend, to make sure that process is not shortchanged,
Yeah.
but rather, um, the interesting thing is, he missed.
Yeah.
Took the
Well,
shot, but he missed.
his strategy, like, let's just put it in this
Yeah.
way. His strategy is, I'm thinking about this in relation to Jim's dream
Mhm.
as well.
Sure, I think so. Yeah.
Justin's strategy is to go after the terrorist, right?
Hmm.
And so that's what he does,
Yeah.
right? He goes after the terrorist, and because his strategy is to go after the terrorist, the whole thing goes amiss, right? He tries to
Mhm.
take the shot, the terrorist sees him, he can't get him, so he's running and hiding. So his strategy for addressing the problem in discipleship actually impacts Justin in a negative way. Right?
Yeah.
The approach, right? So
Right.
Justin, speaking of Justin in the third person when he's right here watching, right? so Justin, the strategy, you see the problem, but some of the strategy for addressing the problem has left you, um, not so much wounded, but going, why didn't that work? Right?
Yeah.
Why didn't that work?
Right.
I thought if I took out the problem, it would elite. But see, here's this.
Right.
I love the connection with the parable, Dad, because Jesus didn't say, "Hey, when the birds come to steal the seed, attack the birds."
Right.
Jesus said, "Make sure that your ground is good ground." Right?
Right.
And so
Right.
when the focus is on what the enemy is doing to steal the seed, and you deal with the enemy, then
The seed still
all
falls on dry
the seed
soil.
still
Yeah.
falls on dry ground. When the focus is, let's actually deal with the recruits and the discipleship process and strengthen them. I was just actually in a meeting where we were talking about this, something to this effect anyway, is, yeah, it is a great dream, Renee. Is the strategy has to be to strengthen the people, not deal with all of the extraneous details.
Yeah.
Right. So I can get caught up in what the enemy's doing rather than, he said, don't attack the birds, focus on the ground. Yes. And I know, Justin, that you're a man who's passionate about discipleship, who's passionate about raising people up. I mean, we'll go back to, Justin's YouTube channel where is it at here?
It's up higher.
Yeah. Up a little higher, up a little higher. Look,
There you
the discipled life.
go. Yeah, there
Right.
you go.
So here we go. And so the Lord's showing you when the strategy is dealing with the enemy, it causes everything to go amiss. When the strategy is dealing with the disciple in the heart, well, there is where we go, well, how does the disciple avoid the attack of the terrorist? Right. Versus how do I take out the terrorist? And
because the end result is that he's running and hiding rather
Yeah.
than doing the things that he set out to do.
Yeah. Well, now I have to respond to
Right.
What's happened here. Yeah. Yeah. And it takes me away from actually what I really want to do, which is,
So the dream is good because it's a reminder, I think, to Justin, that where do you put your focus?
Yeah.
If you're asking the question, why are things not quite working the way I thought they would? Well, don't be enemy focused. Be
heart focused, be soil focused. Yeah.
Right.
I love what Sarah has said. I wonder if the Navy is part of the dream, disciplining in the deeper mysteries and communion and revelation with Abba, right? Because the Navy would be about the sea, going deep. That's some good insight as well.
Yeah.
I think
And those are
Justin
those
is in the. I think
application.
Justin's in the Navy, so
Yeah.
there is that. Yeah.
And I think those are those kinds of things that you. So when you take a dream, we can first and foremost interpret the dream. Say, okay, the dream is at its core means this, and then for the dreamer, their job is to take that and begin to make application within their life and their
Yeah,
world and
that's right.
their questions within themselves. And
Yeah.
that's a good way of looking at that, Sarah, is okay, what the Navy, oh, that means these kinds of things. So you
Right.
can apply it into a particular place in life.
Yeah.
So that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
that's
am
very
in the
good.
Navy, he says. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very good dream, Justin. It's just one of those things where the Lord's going, and it's not so much a correction in the sense that you're doing it wrong. It's going, here's what happens when you focus here. Now let's talk about now the conversation with the Lord is, okay, well, where do we focus and how do we do this, right? Let's bring up that question that Charlie just posted. Charlie
I was
Nelson.
just looking at that.
Great question.
All right. So Charlie has just learned a new term called feeler. And she says, I think I am a feeler. Could you comment on the purpose of this gift and how to discern what it is? I feel stuff on people, places, and things, not good stuff.
Yeah.
So we want to actually just jump to the.
We could spend the whole rest of the time.
I'm going to jump to the end real quick, and then I'll let you jump. But
yeah,
the end goal for being a feeler is to feel both good and bad.
Yeah.
You want to celebrate and encourage and enhance the places of victory in people's lives. So that's what encouraging does. So a feeler can be very encouraging. First and foremost, to help someone see what's in the way so that they can move in a direction. So our job is never to say, hey, you're really screwed up.
Yeah, that's right.
Our job is to say, I'm just wondering if maybe you've been struggling in these areas. And I encourage you that in that sort of a struggle, these are the places we can go to walk in victory.
Yeah.
You walk in freedom, that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Charlie, that's good. Charlie. I feel good stuff too, she says.
Good. And yeah, she's one. And the question I think is also how to respond when you feel the not good stuff.
Exactly.
Right. That's kind of the thing that always throws us.
I remember early on, before I even knew what gifts were, that I would sit in a restaurant and I could hear conversations.
Yep.
And I didn't like it. And I'm not talking about conversations that were actually happening.
I know what he means conversations that you can hear what people are thinking on the inside. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And it wasn't good. And you just shut it down when you don't know what to do with it.
Right.
So I understand the question, Charlie, is what do you do with this stuff when you start to feel both good and bad? So
yes,
I don't think my solution of shutting it down long ago was good.
Yeah. That's
and
right.
then you have to work your way back to learning how to do things, interact with things in a proper fashion. So good questions. Go ahead, Josh.
So it's funny, like the question becomes, Lord, help me to discern my discernment, right? And that's a question that we need to be constantly asking when we're talking about discernment in that sense. A feeler would be another way of saying that I have some level of spiritual discernment. So the first thing to say is people sometimes mistake the capacity to feel with a mature expression of the spiritual life. Right.
Yeah.
And they go, I know people that'll just be like, oh, I can't go into that coffee shop because I just feel everything. And that's because they're so spiritually elite. Right. Yes. That's how people think about it. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Right. We've dealt with prophetic people for a long time, Dad. We know that they do that. Right. The capacity to feel is just the entry point. It's not the maturation point.
Right.
Okay. So just because people can feel doesn't mean they're mature or immature. It's just a thing.
Right.
Okay? It's just a thing that is. we can see things like this being an aspect of prophetic gifting, because we see in it's Elisha with the servant Gehazi, when Elisha prophesies to the woman who has the baby or the child, and the child dies, and then she comes to Elisha in her grief, and Gehazi the servant tries to keep the woman from coming to Elijah, the woman to coming to Elisha. You'll have to find the reference on your own. I can't think of exactly where it is. I'm gonna guess that it's somewhere in 2 Kings.
Yeah.
And then Elisha says, when the woman draws near and she's crying, Gehazi tries to send her away, and Elisha says, "Let her approach, for the Lord has hid her bitterness from me." So if we read into that a little bit, it looks like what Elisha is saying, that I'm actually surprised I wasn't aware of what she was feeling before she came. So it would seem to be that Elisha was going, I'm usually aware of this stuff and I wasn't here. And so this means the Lord hid it from me.
This is interesting.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting, right? Yeah. Let her come, because I wasn't aware of it, right? Yeah. So looking on the reverse of it, or reading between the lines, we're going, well, it seems like Elisha is saying he was used to feeling people's stuff and figuring out how to respond accordingly. And this particular one stood out to him. So there's that. A mature way of expressing the gift is not turning to judgment, because that's one of the things that we do easily when it comes to discerning things. I recall in my own life, I'll tell a quick little story. There was this particular worship guy who I knew not well. I didn't know him well, but I always had this kind of like, something's going on there. Something's off. I don't know what it is, but there's something about this guy that rubs me the wrong way. And I'd see him over the years in different venues and places. And, we had a amicable, in passing, we would say hi to each other. Right. And, but I would always go, something. I remember the last time I saw him was in a restaurant, actually. Walked in and I was with a friend, and I was like, how's that guy? There's something going on with him. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's pride, maybe it's arrogance, maybe it's lust. I just don't know. There's something there though. And then fast forward probably about a year after that, I on Facebook, I found out that he had passed away very suddenly. He got sick, and then within a month he'd passed away, leaving behind wife and kid, grown up children and everything, because he was a little bit older. But and then I was looking at the memorial posts, because that's what happens when someone passes away now with social media. People share their thoughts about him, and they'd tag him in it and talk about this. He meant this to me, and this to me, and this to me. And I'm sitting there going like, what? How did this guy, like, all these people are sharing, they must just be making some of this stuff up, because I had discernment, right? Something was wrong with him.
Yeah, right.
And then someone tags him, this guy I knew from playing basketball. I love playing basketball. And he tagged him and said, I saw that he passed away. And this guy I knew, he was like really into New Age stuff. No, he wasn't Christian, and he was convinced that Jesus was a myth and all that, because he'd read all the New Agey stuff. And so I'd have these conversations with him. He'd ask me questions. I remember praying for him for healing when he twisted an ankle, and he was healed. The next day, he was posting pictures of it online and saying he did credit it to his diet. I remember he did a crazy diet, and he goes, "Look this is what my diet will do." Yeah, and I messaged him and I said, "Do you remember that I prayed for you that Jesus would heal you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's right. That's awesome." Anyway, so he was open, but very cautious, right? And I was never really able to make too much headway in terms of having good, fruitful conversations about the spiritual life with him. Yeah. And he comments about this man's passing and goes, I passed by him on a hike one day. We started up a conversation, and we ended up talking for hours about God and the Bible and Jesus. And he really challenged me to read the book of John, and I never did. And now, in honor of his memory, I'm going to read the book of John. And I was like, what the heck, man? I've been trying to influence this guy and have conversations with the guy for years now. And this dude, who I discerned had such a problem that I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was there, and he was able to reach him. I said, what the heck? Right? That's not right. Like, I should be able to influence him, not this guy, right?
I'm more spiritual,
right, than this guy. and I had discernment that something was going on in his life. And as I'm sitting there, right, the Lord says to me, "And you never once prayed for him."
Ooh,
And I went,
that one will
"Oh."
hurt.
And I realized that I had used discernment as an excuse to judge.
Yeah.
And it stung. I was weeping in
Yeah.
front of my computer, in front of Facebook right there, just weeping. You never once prayed for him. And I was
So
like,
the bottom
oh.
line is, if you are a sensor, feeler, discerner, why do you have that?
Why do you have that? Yeah, because in my estimation, there are times where there's a verse in Proverbs that says, "As water reflects the face, so the heart of man to man."
Mm.
There's times where I respond to the issues in someone else, and
Yeah.
that's just because of something in my heart. It has nothing to do with discernment. So I need to be aware and open and honest with stuff going on inside of me, right? Like people reject me and I get mad and respond and reject them. That's because rejection's in me. So I need to deal with that, right? I've got stuff in my heart that'll respond to other people and it'll show me what's in my heart. And so in regards to this guy, it's like, just because your heart responds to the stuff in someone else doesn't mean you're discerning anything great. So that just means that you're aware. Great, you're aware. Now what do we do with it? Well, the great example of what to do with it is in the ministry of Jesus. This is where we always want to anchor our teaching, right? How we respond. So there's a moment in Matthew 22. Jesus was constantly discerning the thoughts of people, right? But there's one particular time where it says he perceived their wickedness. That's interesting, right? Not just their thoughts, but he perceived their evil intent.
Yeah.
And it literally says in Matthew 22:18, with when the Pharisees ask him about paying taxes to Caesar.
Right.
And it says in Matthew 18, Jesus perceived their wickedness and said, why do you test me? Right. So the word for perceived is the word, it's based on the word for gnosis, for knowledge. It's the word, you can correct me with my Greek because you actually know these things. Epigenosko, is that how you would say it?
That's good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Epigenosko. Epi meaning to be upon something, and gnosko meaning the knowledge of.
Yeah, the knowledge around, or
the knowledge around. Yeah. So the knowledge of their wickedness rested upon Jesus is essentially what that word is saying, right? So this isn't just that. And so sometimes because we think when it says something like that Jesus he knew what they were thinking. But I actually think it's saying he felt their wickedness, and not just like a rudimentary, I had a knowledge of it, but he actually felt it in the place where he was. The knowledge of their wickedness rested upon him. He had an experiential knowledge.
That makes sense.
This is what it feels like, right? Then what did he do? Right? He goes, okay, now here's my discernment process. Now I'm going to ask them a question and respond to who they are and what they are, and make this a moment that points them, if they'll hear it, points them back to God, right? So the data point of perceiving their wickedness was just the first step. The next step was, how do I respond in the moment when I perceive this not good thing? How do I respond and help turn them, in that particular case, help that turn the expression of the kingdom that they see back to the heart of God, right? And so he was able to do that with that person. Now, we're not always able to have the conversation with someone. And so I think the first default to perceiving wickedness or not good stuff is to respond in prayer. You go, okay. Like I would do things like exercises, like walking into a grocery store and you feel some shift and there's something I can feel here. Okay, God, where is it? Who is it? What's the need? And how do I pray for them? Right.
Yeah.
I'd go through this check process, right? I might just, and if I'm in the grocery store, I might just close my eyes.
Right.
I might just close my eyes, picture a layout of the grocery store as I know it, and go, I think the person's over in this place. I'm going to go walk over there, go around them, and then pray for them and extend the presence of Jesus to them, because I'm a living conduit for him. And maybe he'll give me a word, maybe he won't. And so the response is always, how do I prayerfully offer this to the Father? Because when I offered to the Father, he said this, my burdens are easy and my yoke is light. So how do I test if this burden is from him? This oppressive thing is from him, as Shirley's asked. I struggle with feeling oppression after being with some precious people in my life. How do I tell if this is from him or I'm putting too much emphasis on myself? Is it a light and easy burden that I can offer back up to him? And if it's me and I'm holding on to it, now I have to deal with, because sometimes feelers, what they get is that I find meaning in feeling it. And so I hold on to it for much longer than I need to. And
good. Yeah, that's good.
because now this gives me meaning
Right.
and purpose because I can feel something.
Right.
And so he said,
and
my
let it
burden
start
is easy.
defining me and who I am.
Exactly. So
what I feel rather than
it ought to be a light and easy thing the Father's showing you that you offer back to him in prayerful consideration. And then the burden lifts, the feeling lifts because you're walking with him, and there's a divine exchange for his burden and his yoke.
Yeah.
So we have that. This is more of the mature expression is, okay, how do I bring this to the Father? Go through I would have a system of checks where I would go, okay, where is this? Who is this? How do I pray for them? Do you have anything that I might say to them? And there's times where I have had words for people just walking through the store, and I'll say something. But there's times where it's just intercession. And so I want to go through that and go, okay, now that I've felt it, processed it, released it to him, I can go about my daily business and not hold on to it, because I don't want to find meaning in feeling it. I want to find meaning in dialoguing with him and his heart coming to me. So that's what I would say in response to it is don't just stop at the feeling part. And but that's, it's okay if people have stopped at the feeling part, because what happens is that we haven't had good teachers. And I've talked to lots of people that once they start to understand the idea of being a burden bearer, being a feeler, and what that means. Karen, same application when we feel sorrow or brokenness. Absolutely. Who is this? What is it? I walk from one place into another, and all of a sudden I'm depressed. It's like, well, nothing happened to make me depressed. There was no thought process or anything. What's going on? Oh, I think God may be showing me there's someone here that I need to pray for. And responding in intercession. I remember John Paul saying one time, not every prophetic person is an intercessor. No, how did he say it? Not every intercessor is a prophetic person, but every prophetic person is called to be an intercessor. And because I'll feel, think, things will rest upon me, and I'll go, okay, how do I respond here? And
or I become aware of unique circumstances that make sense. Hey, we have
wonderful pre awesome to see. We have some friends that are joining in from all the way across the other side of the world. So that's a great point, Justin. The closer we grow in our relationship with the Father, the more we start to share his heart for people and are sensitive when things are present. Absolutely. And then as we walk,
church can be an intense place because of this.
Well, sometimes because we grow up in these, some of us have grown up in a charismatic church environment. And so that what we glean from that inadvertently is that the expression of the Christian life is about gifts and sensitivity. And this is what it looks like to be deeply Christian, right? Is that we're sensitive and we're gifted and we can prophesy and feel. But the goal of the Christian life is union and likeness with God.
Right.
And all the other stuff might come as a result of it. But the goal is union and likeness. The goal is not sensitivity.
That's true. And what we have corralled the gifts into doing too often, especially the ones that Charlie is talking about, is we focus on sin management.
Yeah, that's very true.
So when I feel something, then I'm seeing your problem.
Yeah, that's right.
And I categorize it as a problem rather than I'm walking with my family and we can find ways to be free together because we're family. And that because the end goal is to be like Jesus.
Yeah, that's right.
And to become what what I like the way that Tom Wright says it, to become truly human.
Yeah.
And that means that when we live within our own devices and our own constraints and constrictions, we limit ourselves to become less than we are. We fall into idolatry, and that's another thing we should talk about at some point, because idolatry is not having an idol on the wall, but it's putting our allegiance away from the one who created us.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's anything that takes our allegiance away from that is idolatry. And so we are, to be truly human is to be inside of ourselves in unity or in peace, in peace being not having divergent feelings and emotions towards the one who created us. So we are at peace. Jesus said, I give you my peace. My peace means that I'm at one with the Father, and there's nothing between us. I'm defining it that as peace is not that I don't have war. It's that I have complete connection with
That's
the
right.
Father.
Yes, exactly.
And that's the gift of peace that he gives to us.
Yeah.
So when we are walking as family, then our end goal is that we all walk in peace and unity, because we have the same Father, we have the same allegiance.
Yeah. When Jesus was in the garden and feeling strong, big emotions, he never lost peace as a component of connection with the Father, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So even though that felt chaotic, it would feel chaotic. There was soldiers coming, big emotions being felt. Peace was always present because he's connected, not as an alternate state of existence because I feel something that is a lack of war, but because in the midst of it all, I'm connected with him and I'm aware that his heart is for me. I can trust him and still walk with him.
Exactly.
What I think what happens is that because of immaturity, people become a problem to be solved, because I'm uncomfortable with the tension in the situation. And so when it comes to feeling and burden bearing and all that kind of stuff, I need to solve this dilemma right now. And people become the problem rather than the image bearer in front of you who I get to walk with and help point, just as I'm trying to point my life in a way back towards the Creator. I'm helping other people point their way back to the Creator, right? And that the context of that is that's going to take longer than just a moment and a prayer. Right? It's okay, you're not a problem that I need to solve now. You're a person that I get to love and walk with. And the same for me, right? The reciprocal. I'm a person. No, when we get turned into a problem to be solved, nobody has deep relationships because everybody's just a trigger waiting to happen. Right. But when we are people that walk together as image bearers, then I can feel the pain. I can feel this. I can feel this. And then I can go to the Father. How do I walk with this? What do I need to do? I can pray for the person. I can offer a solution, blah, 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 whatever it happens to be. But there becomes that moment where I love the language of Jesus in Matthew 12. I think it's Matthew 12, where my burden is easy. My yoke is light, right? Take my burden upon you, the divine exchange. Though you're struggling with this, all you who are weary and overburdened, and like that kind of stuff, living that life of the feeler without the context of Jesus is a wearying thing.
Because he goes, if a burden is light, then it's a very different sort of burden.
Exactly. Yes.
We're used to a burden being something that weighs us down. But somehow he's talking about something that still he calls a burden.
Yeah.
But it's not the burden that you're used to.
Yeah.
So that's right. To me, that's a fascinating way that he twists that. I mean, he's so good. Jesus is so good at using language.
That's right. That's right.
But he turns that around and says, you can have a burden, but it's not the kind of burden that you think it's going to be. So,
yeah, that's right. And in the midst of all that, you're going to learn about his love. Come and learn of me, learn of my heart. Right.
Yeah.
So, that was an excellent question. I knew when I saw that question pop up, it was going to get us talking about that for a little while.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's something that most of us will wrestle with at some point in our lives. How do I effectively love the people around me give myself to the people around me, and not, that doesn't mean being in essence a doormat where you never have your own opinion.
Yeah.
But it means that I don't live my life to protect myself and preserve myself from harm. I live my life to love people and to help see them grow and foster in relationship with the Father. And that whole feeler burden bearing thing, very, very much, you can kind of interchange those two words, is very much a part of, or it's like Paul in Galatians 6, Galatians 6. There's a
all right,
Freudian slip, right?
I'm going to make you do this last dream.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Galatians,
but your dreams today. But.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I will move past the Galatians 6 thing.
All right. Good. All right. So Annette says, I was married to Prince William. The marriage was quite quick. Immediately, I'm standing with William in front of a large crowd. He whispered to me when they came around with the mic, and she finishes it off here. He said, they will ask your name. I said my full name. He and King Charles got mad. Catherine then gave me a new name. I didn't like it.
Who's like Kate, as in who's like, Catherine? Like the one is she married to Prince William? Is that a
Kate,
thing?
I believe so.
Is it Catherine?
I'm not a big. I'm not a royalty person. I don't know these things, but I mean, not that I dislike.
Is William? We might need to look this up. Kate. It's Kate and William, right?
You know that people are going to straighten us out right now.
No, you know who's going to straighten me out is my wife if I tell her about this. Yeah.
She's married
to Prince William. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
I told you to start telling us.
Yes. Really, yeah. There we go. Williams. Everybody's correcting us. Yeah. Really interesting dream. So you are married to Prince William, but his wife is already there.
Yep.
Right. And he puts you in front of a crowd, gives you a mic, and let me just when they come around with the mic, go to the next. When they come around with the mic,
they're going to want to know your name.
They're going to want to know your name. I said my full name. He and King Charles got mad. Like, how kind of mad? Like, were they like fuming mad, or they're just like, oh, come on? What was their response?
Well, when you said your full name in your dream, did you say, I am Annette Garrison? Or did you say, I am Annette with the new last name from?
Were they like, one part I'm trying to figure out, what kind of anger was it? So what did you say your full first middle last name, first name, last name, first name? I'm assuming first middle last. And were they like, no, you have a new name, you're supposed to use that name? Was there anger, more frustration with why were they mad? Because you hadn't got your new name, right?
Because it's a quick thing. She's married.
Yeah, was it your new married name, Karen? That's a great question. Was it your new married name? They shook their head in almost disgust. I said Annette.
Okay, so she said Annette.
Perhaps they wanted me to use a royal title, but we married and you were quick.
Yeah.
And you didn't get a title. We married so quick, I didn't. Oh, she doesn't get a title in the dream. See, there's always extra stuff there.
Yeah.
Okay, go back to so in the dream, you get married to Prince William very quickly, and people are coming around with a mic. He said they're going to ask you your name, and so you said your name, and they got mad, but you were like, but I don't have any other name. They never even gave me a title or anything.
Right.
And then Catherine said, well, here's your new name. And you were like, how did you feel about the new name? And do you know what the new name was? Like,
well, here's something really interesting. Look at the title she gave this dream.
Your name. Yes. Yes.
Because who am I?
What do you mean exactly?
So she's saying that the question this dream is about is, who am I?
Yeah.
How am I
Exactly.
connected?
Yeah.
And what
Yes.
it all seems like there's how did I get this connected? How did this happen? It doesn't make
Yes.
sense. Um, and yet I have a new name, but I don't know what it is.
Well, here's what we have to. So what's the new name? If you know what the new name is, and was it the married name? And did Catherine give you a royal title or not? Those are the questions I have. Because here's what we have to figure out. We've got a great picture that Prince William and King Charles could be Jesus and the Father.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. And Catherine could be the Holy Spirit. Catherine sat down with paper and said, okay, this is your new name. I don't remember it, but I remember something along the lines of a Native American name.
Oh, interesting.
And you thought, like what? And your response was what? Like disgust with it, confusion with it. What? That's what I'm trying to figure out. This is the question, Dad, that we have to figure out.
Yes.
Is this, because the dream could be about two things as I see it, and maybe you can weigh in on this, is that people have put labels on her that never quite fit. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's realizing that now, right? It doesn't fit me, right? Yeah. Or the Father's calling her to a different expression, and she's not quite sure how to do that yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could see it being a bit of both. What do you think?
Well, a name typically is given to us to help define our existence. And especially ancient cultures, names were much more definitive.
Mm-hmm.
And even in like and it's interesting because she says they gave her a Native American name.
Yeah.
That culture, you didn't receive in many of the parts of that culture, you didn't receive your name until you reached a point of experience and knowing who you are. In other words, who am I in this world? Who am I among my people? Who am I? Where do I fit in? So what's my name? My name then becomes my function, my personality, my character, my nature. In this dream, she's saying, I don't have my name yet, even though I've been married into this clan, this people, but I don't know who I am in the middle of it. And when they do tell me who I am, I don't know that I agree with that yet.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of to me, that's what I'm hearing in this dream is I'm not buying into this yet.
Yeah.
And that comes down to connection and relationship.
Yes.
I'm not going to go any further than that.
Wait here. I just want to say this because one of the things you just at the initial outset, you have to figure out, does Prince William and King Charles, do they represent something of, are they the people that she's surrounded with right now, ostensibly leadership.
Yeah.
Right. The kind of community expression of where she's involved with.
Right. And
or
you're
are
saying
they
that because they got angry, right?
They got angry, and not just angry, they were angry with disgust.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. So that doesn't sound like the Father and the Son.
No.
This isn't because what the where is it? Karen, could this be a promotion in identity? Right? Because if Prince William and King Charles are the Father and the Son, it looks like a promotion in identity that Annette is not comfortable with. Right?
Yeah.
That's what it would look like. But then we have to look at the deeper clues. King and King Charles got mad, not just mad, but they were disgusted. And Annette didn't even know what the other name was because she should have had a royal title or something.
So she got
but they never even told her in the first place, right? So she's like, I don't even know what to say. Yeah. That doesn't sound like the Father and the Son.
Right.
That doesn't sound like the tenderness of Jesus. That doesn't sound like the one whose mercies are new every morning, right? It
Right.
sounds like bad leadership. It sounds
Yep.
like expectations put on
People
someone
wanting
before.
to put something on me
Yeah.
that isn't me.
They're putting something on me
That'd
that
be something.
isn't me,
Right.
and I don't even know how to respond to that because I don't even know you're telling me to be something that I don't even know what I'm supposed to be. That's an unhealthy expectation, and it's really obnoxious when leaders do that. Right? It really is.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
like, like
Oh,
here,
you
do
fit
this.
this. You fit this not this little thing for us. We need you
Yes.
here. Yeah.
Yes.
You are a Sunday school teacher for the rest of your life.
And you're like, well, I didn't think that I was like that. And then when you say the wrong thing, they're like, of course, she still doesn't get it, you know? And so then when you're going, well, what do you like? I don't even know how you want me to answer this. I don't even know how to be. And they say, well, no, be like this. And you're like, that doesn't even make any sense to me either.
Yeah.
Right. And you've got people that aren't your culture, Prince William, King Charles,
Giving you a
and
name that isn't your
Catherine,
culture.
right? That's royalty. You're American. You beat all those ones back hundreds of years ago, right? And then you've got the Native American, which isn't your culture either. And so you're like, neither one of these seem to fit.
Yeah.
And they're going, no, they fit, right? And you're going, but they don't fit.
Yeah.
So the dream's showing you that some of the frustration that's happening and the friction that's happening, and they're like, who am I and how am I to be, is because people are going, well, you need to be this way, or you need to be this way, or you need to be this way. And they've never even clearly communicated what that means. So it's not you being frustrated. It's they haven't actually laid out those expectations that have been put on you. You don't even have the resources to meet.
The marriage was quick.
Yeah.
It wasn't about getting to know each other and developing relationship and all of that stuff. It just, okay, we're married now.
It's like if you walk into a church and you're the prophetic person, and now they go, oh, you're that prophetic person, we needed you to do all these things, and you're like, well, I'm not like that prophetic person. Right. But they can't even see that, right? They're just like, well, no, okay, do the teaching, do the stuff, prophesy, here's the microphone, be the monkey. And you're like, but that's not the kind of person I am. Well, but you told us you're a prophetic person, so that's what you do. Right? That's the experience of a lot of prophetic people. They feel used and not seen or not heard. It's just like, oh, you've got a gift, prophesy here. Right. So, well, how do we, let's like walk together. Let's get to know each other. I'm a relational person. I'm not a monkey that just,
oh no, we're already married.
Yeah. No, you're already there. That's who you are. And that's what you do. And it's really frustrating for people because they never feel like they belong then, because they're used for, someone wants to use them to build their own ministry. And that's really frustrating. And that's the kind of thing it looks like.
Yeah, that's what it does. It kind of feels that way in the dream. Yeah. As you get more pieces to it.
Yeah. I'm not being honored or valued for who I am. I'm being told to be someone else.
Yeah.
And then I'm not even being told what that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so why am I frustrated?
And I'm being looked at negatively because of that.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. People are frustrated with me because I'm not performing the way they think. Not
living to what they have an expectation
for. Like I remember, just as an aside to that, I remember when we first moved to a new area. This was a long time ago. And I had been to the place where we moved to, and for a weekend event, and had prophesied over a lot of people from the front stage, and with a couple friends of mine, and it was quite accurate prophetic ministry. Like I would say, it was one of those highlight moments when it comes to being able to walk with your friends and minister to people.
Yeah.
And so then after I came back as just a normal church attendee person, right? Yeah. But I wasn't that. For the first few months, it was like, oh, that's that guy that can tell me all the stuff, you know?
That's that guy who knows who I am. I don't want to.
Yeah. And I was like, I could feel it, right? I was like, but I just want to be me. Yeah. I don't want to be like the prophetic person from the front stage that's going to tell you all the life solutions that you need. Yeah. That's not who I am. Right. That was in the moment the Father was moving that way, but there's a lot more to me than just that moment. And and Claire says, unfortunately, churches want you to do more than get to know you. Want you to do more, and they don't want to get to know you. And that's exactly what happens. And so I had to actively fight the desire to fill the mold and go, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that person.
Yeah.
Let's just walk together. Right. And that was fine. It was I could see it as a natural expectation based on the history that I had. It was fine. But I was like, oh, I can't be that way. Right. I'd have people ask me questions thinking that I was the all-knowing one who had prophetic insight. It was like, actually, I kind of just like studying history and talking about old monks. Oh,
dude, like that. Yeah. I don't know where you got it from. But
yeah.
Might have come by naturally.
Yeah. Karen has a good thing. John Paul Jackson used to say, why this and not that? Compare and contrast in a dream. Why the royal family? High influence leaders. I don't think it's high influence leaders. The royal family, because the royal family is not like, and Karen is Canadian, and so there's a affinity for the royal family, right? Annette is American. There's no connection there whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so in Annette's sphere, the royal family is a totally different family than she's ever supposed to be connected to.
Yeah.
It's England and
It's
America.
Over there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's over there. Yes. And the Native Americans, another one, is a totally different than the family that she's connected to. So that's the issue with the why this and not that. Why the royal family? Now that might be different if someone in England had that dream, or if someone in Canada, for that matter, had that dream, because Canada's considered a part of the Commonwealth, right? So that's different. So when we're comparing and contrasting and going, why the royal family? That was my initial wrestle with the royal family, high influence leaders, but these are not acting in a way that you would expect good godly leaders to act.
Yeah.
Especially their response of disgust when Annette doesn't even know how to respond because they never even told her.
And the lack of developing relationship.
The lack of developing relationship, all this stuff, there's clues in there. So when we're comparing and contrasting, we could say high influence leaders for sure because of king and prince, but then we have to look at the rest of the details as we're comparing and contrasting.
Okay, so if we were to summarize this dream for Annette, what would we say?
You find yourself being asked by leaders to fulfill certain roles that just don't make sense to you. And there's an identity that's being placed on you within the context of that doesn't fit you. And you're wrestling with, how do I respond? Yeah.
Good. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Because, and partly because Charles and William don't really have influence in America. It's like, it's not really a thing. So,
no authority
or anything like that. Yeah, that's right. But whereas Charles would have some semblance of authority and influence in a place like Canada or England, for that matter. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, let's, you have reached your goal of crossing.
We crossed the
noon barrier
for the Eastern time people.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Karen, that's a wonderful point. That last thing that Karen said about Annette.
Yeah.
Yes. Your feelings are valid. Right. And that's like some of these leaders just try and steamroll you. Your feelings are valid.
Yeah.
Going, that doesn't feel right. Yes. Good. Express yourself. And if they don't get it, that's their problem. It's not yours.
Right.
Yeah. You express yourself the best way you know how. Put the boundaries in place. If they don't get it, then they need to adjust, not you, because you've already adjusted.
Let's not get started on corporate church structures.
Yeah.
It's just you can get me going on that one.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So
okay,
let's bring this to a close. Thank you guys for jumping in here.
Yes.
We've had a good time today, and we had a lot of good dreams. We didn't get to all of them, but we got to some.
Yeah,
they were interesting.
They're good ones. Yeah.
What do you have coming up, Josh? I know you guys are heading to Singapore, but
so any of our friends in Singapore that will be there. So and we're doing some meetings with different churches and such there, and so pay attention to the social media stuff. I mean, chances are if we're friends with you, you're already connected with those networks there. We've got a few courses we'll be offering. Like I said, some mentorship, mentoring courses. We're kind of changing the format a little bit to be way more hands-on and practical.
You won't want to miss it. It'll be really good mentoring.
It's going to be really good mentoring. Yeah. Starting in November. So they'll be, just pay attention to the social media, sign up for the emails. We will have, for anybody that's been supporting some of our on the ground overseas work, we'll have some updates coming out shortly about what the trip was like. And some of you remember a series of interviews that we sent out via email that were just fascinating with on the ground workers in different countries. And we've got a whole nother series of those coming out. So stay tuned to that. And this almost turned into Coffee with Ken. Yeah, that's right. It kind of did. Yeah. And we're just trying to navigate also launching a few more podcast series, one with my dad and one with Aaron. So yeah. And a side note plug for my wife is she's really going hard after helping people recover their identity in inner healing with the heart sync stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're interested at all in pursuing, you're trying to navigate through spiritual growth and having difficulty with that, wrestling with some things, we've been talking about having some live streams talking about this stuff, but send us a message and we'll get you connected with some people that can help. Aaron's been doing that. My dad's wife has been doing that, Teresa. So I love where she's going with that. And she's been working with a few people, and just some of the stories that are coming out of the encounters that people are having with the Father, just like radical transformation. I love seeing that.
It is impressive.
So send us a message and we can give you some more details about that with the heart sync inner healing stuff. And yeah, so there you go.
All right. Well, thank you guys again for joining in and connecting with us. Anytime we encourage you to keep Josh and his family in your prayers as they travel to Singapore. The more the merrier as far as prayer goes.
That's true.
And support is always helpful.
There's a link. I think there's a link in the video description if you want to donate to the ministry. So that's always wonderful.
Always good. Yeah. And we're just going to pray over you guys and bless it and be gone for today.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Lord, we thank you for everybody that has tuned in today and those that will be tuning in and engaging with the things that we've been talking about. Thank you for the dream life, the active dreams that people are having, and you're speaking and people are learning who they are and how they interact with the world around them and with you.
That's right. That's right.
And their hearts are getting put back together. And that's just such a Jesus thing. And we love every time that you become closer to your people because they're paying attention to you.
Yeah.
So we just ask that we invite you to engage with the dreams of each and every person that that comes onto this broadcast. Just engage with the dreams. Come and visit. Yeah. Come and meet. Come and speak. We welcome you. We welcome your voice. The voice of some say it's thunder, and some say it's like the most melodious thing they've ever heard. So we welcome that in every capacity in Jesus' name. Thanks, you guys. We'll talk to you soon, and it's been good.
Till next time.
All right.